Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into the heart of complex topics, really trying to extract those vital nuggets of knowledge and insight from your sources. Today we're embarking on a journey into, well, a literary masterpiece. It might seem deceptively simple on the surface, but it unearths just a universe of profound ideas. George Orwell's Animal Farm.
Absolutely. It's so much more than just a quaint story about barnyard animals.
Right. At its core, it's a biting, timeless allegory, isn't it? A really stark warning woven into what Orwell himself called a fairy story. So our mission today is to unpack its plot, dive deep into its powerful historical context, and really meticulously explore Orwell's clear, urgent intent behind creating it.
Yeah, we're going to try and distill the most important insights from the material, revealing how this seemingly straightforward tale serves as this chilling prophecy against totalitarianism.
And against the insidious ways power can corrupt even the noblest of ideals. And maybe to kick us off, let's just confront one of the most famous and frankly chilling lines in all of literature. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
That line, it encapsulates the entire tragic arc of Animal Farm, doesn't it? You know, when you first open the book, you're immediately transported to Manor Farm, and it's a place where the animals endure this brutal existence.
Under the cruel, often drunken hand of their human master, Mr. Jones.
Right. Their lives are short, hard, just devoid of dignity. But then you get this pivotal moment with Old Major.
The old respected boar.
Exactly. He gathers the animals, shares this visionary dream, a dream of a world free from human tyranny, a world where animals live in freedom and equality, masters of their own destiny.
A powerful utopian vision.
It really is. And it ignites this spark, leading to this remarkable uprising. The animals, they're driven by this longing for liberation. They successfully rise up, overthrow Jones, and establish a new society.
Founded on animalism.
Based on animalism, it's this promise of absolute equality, freedom for every creature, a real revolutionary moment. But as the story masterfully unfolds, what begins as this pure, almost naive utopian dream, this fervent revolution, it's gradually, subtly, and then, well, violently corrupted.
It's the story of how that dream sours.
It is. It's this deeply unsettling narrative of how that initial pristine dream transforms into something far, far darker, betraying every single founding principle along the way.
And understanding the historical context for this fairy story is it's absolutely paramount, isn't it? To grasp its power and its relevance.
Definitely.
Our source material, especially the prefaces Orwell wrote and commentary from scholars, it illuminates this deeply personal, almost harrowing motivation behind the book.
Orwell's experience in the Spanish Civil War, 1937.
Transformative. Almost fatally so.
Yeah.
He talks about a near-fatal escape from Stalin's murderous political apparatchiks.
Right. He went there to fight for what he thought was a decent democratic government.
But instead he found it was being infiltrated, undermined by Stalinists.
Who were ruthlessly trying to eliminate any trace of Trotsky's influence, often through brutal purges. He saw it firsthand.
He recalled how many of our friends were shot, and others spent a long time in prison or simply disappeared. That's not just political theory, that's visceral.
Absolutely. It wasn't just a political awakening. It was this deep personal trauma that just opened his eyes to the true nature of totalitarian power.
And that narrow escape, it left him profoundly alarmed, as he put it, about the gullibility of other well-meaning, decent people in Western Europe.
Yeah, he saw with this growing concern how many people in the West had fallen for what he called a dangerously romantic view of the Russian Revolution.
Idealizing it.
Exactly. And in his view, this idealized perception just blinded them to the brutal realities of the Soviet regime under Stalin.
So with that stark realization, Animal Farm became his deliberate literary weapon.
A precise, devastating attack on the myth of the nobility of Soviet communism, as one source calls it, one of the century's most devastating literary acts of political destruction.
And it's fascinating that he struggled so much to get it published initially, back in 1943.
Yeah, because the Soviet Union was this crucial ally against Hitler. Publishers just didn't want to touch anything critical of Stalin at that moment.
That delay itself says so much about the political climate, doesn't it? The power of the prevailing narrative.
It really does.
But despite these serious, stark undertones, Orwell famously, almost ironically, called it a fairy story.
Which is brilliant, in a way.
Because, as our sources point out, it's so much more. It's a political tract, a satire on human folly, a loud hee-haw at all who yearn for utopia, an allegorical lesson, and a pretty good fable in the Aesop tradition.
Does all of those things.
And he wasn't subtle about his intentions, was he? He explicitly stated, "Every line of serious work that I have written since 1936 has been written, directly or indirectly, against totalitarianism."
Animal Farm was the first book in which I tried, with full consciousness of what I was doing, to fuse political purpose and artistic purpose into one whole.
Such a clear statement. It really is. He saw it as a passionate sermon against the dangers of political innocence, specifically designed to destroy the Soviet myth.
Because he believed the USSR was becoming this rigid hierarchical society where the rulers had no more reason to give up power than any other ruling class.
It's incredibly powerful. But how do you think he managed that fusion? Fusing such a strong political message with a fairy story without it feeling, preachy or just didactic.
Well, that's the genius of the allegorical form, isn't it? By using animals in a farm, these seemingly simple elements, he makes incredibly complex political ideas tangible, relatable even.
It bypasses our defenses, maybe.
Exactly. It allows him to critique the Soviet system not by lecturing, but by showing the mechanisms of power, of corruption, through a story. The fairy story aspect kind of disarms you, draws you in with familiar tropes.
And then delivers the political punch.
Precisely. And having that clear statement of purpose from him is rare, but it's that transparency combined with the art that makes it so potent.
Which brings us right to the main themes, the rot of power, the broken promises.
Yes. Let's dive into that corruption of power first, because it's really the engine of the whole narrative, this slide into tyranny.
It starts with Old Major's vision in Chapter 1. So pure, so clear. Man is the only real enemy. Remove man, and the root cause of hunger and overwork is abolished forever.
And his core declaration, all animals are equal. That's the foundation.
So that initial spark happens, the rebellion succeeds, and then what? The pigs, Snowball, and Napoleon, they emerge as leaders.
Naturally, in a way. The text says they were the cleverest of the animals. They take on teaching, organizing, distilling animalism.
They supervise, guide the others, but notably, they don't do the physical work themselves.
And that's where you see the first subtle shift, almost immediately.
Milk.
The milk from the cows just disappears, vanishes. Later, you find out it's being mixed into the pig's mash, exclusively.
And soon after, the windfall apples too, reserved just for them. Why are these small things so crucial early on?
Because it's the thin end of the wedge. These seemingly small, maybe even justifiable privileges are the most dangerous precedent.
And that's where Squealer comes in.
Oh, yes. Squealer, the master propagandist. He steps in with his, rhetorical tricks, the skipping and tail whisking.
Selling the idea.
Selling it hard. He argues the pigs are brain workers. They have these immense intellectual burdens. He says, it is for your sake that we drink that milk and eat those apples.
And the fear tactic. Do you know what would happen if we pigs failed? Jones would come back.
Classic. It's classic fear-mongering combined with false concern. And it mirrors exactly how figures like Stalin consolidated power after the Russian Revolution.
So these little concessions, the milk, the apples, they normalize inequality.
Precisely. They incrementally erode that initial belief in total equality. It makes it harder for the others to recognize the fundamental shift until it's way too late. It's like the boiling frog allegory, isn't it?
Yeah, turning up the heat so slowly.
Exactly. That gradual acceptance paves the way for much bigger abuses down the line.
And that justification, it's necessary for the greater good, leads directly to Napoleon's absolute takeover.
It does. Initially, Napoleon took no interest in Snowball's committees, right? Seemed uninterested in the debates.
But he was focused on something else, something strategic, the education of the young.
Chillingly strategic. He takes those 9 young puppies, raises them in such seclusion that the rest of the farm soon forgot their existence.
Until they reappear.
And they reappear not as pups, but as these fierce, huge, terrifyingly loyal enforcers, Napoleon's personal guard.
And they're used immediately, violently. During the windmill debate.
Yes, they literally chase Snowball off the farm, expel him permanently. Any illusion of open debate just shatters in that moment.
It's a brutal turning point.
It seals the revolution's fate, really. Immediately after Snowball's gone, Napoleon dismantles everything, abolishes the Sunday meetings, the debates.
Silences dissent.
Completely. All decisions are centralized in a committee of pigs with him in charge. Any murmur of protest, even from someone strong like Boxer, is crushed by the dogs growling.
It's the playbook for tyranny laid bare.
Absolutely. How revolutionary leaders eliminate rivals, dismantle democratic structures, establish dictatorships. The revolution consuming its own. And the promise of collective decisions replaced by the iron fist, enforced by those dogs raised in secret.
Which flows perfectly into that second major theme, the betrayal of the revolutionary ideals themselves.
Yes, the agonizing betrayal. Because Old Major's vision wasn't just about getting rid of Jones. It was about creating something genuinely better.
He dreamt of the earth as it will be when man has vanished, where no animal in England knows the meaning of happiness or leisure. No animal is free. The life of an animal is misery and slavery. His goal was freedom, equality.
And initially, those ideals were distilled into the Seven Commandments, inscribed on the barn wall, meant to be an unalterable law.
The foundation.
The sacred text. Rules like, no animal shall sleep in a bed, rejecting human luxury. No animal shall drink alcohol for purity. No animal shall kill any other animal, a moral code.
And crucially, all animals are equal, the cornerstone.
These were the pillars of their new liberated society.
But then comes the erosion. Steady, insidious. The sources detail it so well.
It starts subtly. The pigs take the milk and apples, then they move into the farmhouse, the symbol of human oppression, and start sleeping in beds.
Which Clover questions. She feels that unease.
Right. She tries to read the commandment, but struggles. Muriel the goat reads the altered version. No animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets.
Squealer's manipulation, language, memory.
Absolutely key. He explains the rule was only against sheets, a human invention. Since they removed the sheets, they're fine. It's a semantic game, but it twists the original intent completely.
And the same happens with alcohol. No animal shall drink alcohol to excess. Convenient.
Very convenient for the pigs enjoying the farmhouse whiskey. These small shifts chip away at trust, make the animals doubt their own memories, gaslighting, essentially.
And it escalates, gets bolder, until the final shocking collapse.
The complete inversion. The pigs start walking on two legs, a direct violation of two legs bad.
The ultimate betrayal.
And then the Seven Commandments, meant to be unalterable, are gone, replaced by that single, horrifyingly perverse statement on the wall. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
It's not just betrayal, it's mockery.
It's the total subversion of the revolution's cry for equality, twisted to justify a new, even more oppressive hierarchy. It shows how absolute power doesn't just corrupt. It redefines reality, truth, equality itself to serve its own ends, leaves everyone else completely lost.
It's a chilling transformation. And to really get how Orwell builds this, we need to look at the metaphors, the symbolism. It's packed with layers.
So much depth there. It's not just a story. Every element means something.
Let's start with the animals as stand-ins for classes, historical figures.
Right, the pig Snowball, Napoleon, Squealer, they're the intellectuals, the Bolsheviks, the leaders. The cleverest, who turned Old Major's ideas into animalism.
Snowball representing Trotsky, the idealist, the organizer, visionary with the windmill.
Widely seen that way, yes. The brilliant theorist, orator, eventually exiled and killed by Stalin's regime.
And Napoleon, as Stalin, quiet, cunning, ruthless, focused on power, not debate.
Exactly. Brute force, tactical manipulation. Then there's Squealer, small, fat, twinkling eyes, shrill voice, able to turn black into white.
The propagandist.
The quintessential state propagandist.
Yeah.
Constantly justifying Napoleon, rewriting history. His physical twitches, the skipping and tail whisking, just capture that deceptive nature perfectly.
And backing them up, the dogs.
Napoleon's secret weapon. Those 9 puppies he takes, raises in secret. Separated from their mothers, that's symbolic itself.
They emerge as ferocious enforcers, loyal only to him.
His personal bodyguard, his instrument of terror, their growls, the violence they silence dissent. They're the NKVD, the secret police, making terror a tool of the state. Chillingly effective.
Then there's Boxer, the loyal workhorse.
Oh, Boxer! Such a tragic figure, respected for his steadiness of character and tremendous powers of work, his mottos.
I will work harder, and Napoleon is always right.
They exemplify the loyal, hardworking, but ultimately naive and exploited working class. The proletariat, carrying a burden, getting little reward.
And his fate, sold to the knackers when it collapses.
Heartbreaking. Our sources say Orwell wrote it out of controlled and icy hatred for the cynicism of the Soviet system, but also despair for all the deluded people who served it gladly. A brutal reminder of how regimes discard loyal servants when they're no longer useful.
Alongside him, Clover, the motherly mare.
She represents the empathetic, questioning worker who senses things are wrong but can't quite articulate it. She remembers bits of the past, feels that unease, but lacks the tools or maybe the courage to fight back effectively.
The silent suffering.
And then Benjamin the donkey, oldest animal, cynical observer.
Never laughed. Expressed no opinion on the rebellion.
He could read, but didn't bother. He represents those skeptical intellectuals who see it all unfolding but stay passive, believing life is always bad, so why bother? His silence is a powerful commentary on apathy.
You also have Molly, the vain mare who loves ribbons and sugar.
Yes, she represents the bourgeoisie, maybe. The privileged class who flee when revolution demands sacrifice. She prioritizes comfort over the collective ideal. Her departure is quiet but significant.
And Moses, the raven, telling tales of Sugar Candy Mountain.
Fascinating symbol. Religion, perhaps. Initially, the pigs discourage belief in this afterlife paradise.
Well, later.
Later, as life gets harder, they let him stay, give him beer. They tolerate, maybe even co-opt, religion to offer false hope, pacify the masses, distract from their suffering here and now.
These characters really map out the societal dynamics. But other symbols are crucial too, like the windmill.
Huge symbol, multi-layered. Initially, it's Snowball's grand vision, progress, liberation.
Electrical power, warmth, less work, time for reading and conversation. A utopian future.
Exactly. A symbol of technological advancement, the promise of the revolution.
But its construction becomes something else entirely.
Relentless exploitation. Work like slaves, reduced rations, hardship. The dream becomes a nightmare of toil.
And the final twist. When it's finally built.
It's not used for electricity or easing labor. It's used for milling corn to make money. For the pigs, reinforcing their privilege.
So it represents those grand projects, the false promises regimes use.
Precisely. Extracting labor and loyalty while the benefits never trickle down. It's always just over the horizon, that utopia, a tool for control. And the fact that it keeps getting destroyed and rebuilt emphasizes that futility.
And maybe the most potent symbol, the 7 Commandments.
Oh, definitely. Initially, the unalterable law, inscribed proudly, the moral bedrock of animalism.
But their alteration, no animal shall sleep in a bed, becomes with sheets. No animal shall kill any other animal, becomes without cause.
It's devastating. It shows how totalitarian regimes manipulate not just laws, but language, truth itself. To justify abuses suit their needs. Truth becomes completely malleable.
A tool in their hands.
Exactly. It's not just rule breaking, it's dismantling the very idea of objective truth. And the final reduction to that single perverse statement, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
It's illogical, but presented as fact.
It's the complete perversion of justice, of truth, a core mechanism of propaganda. Confuse, disorient, control. When the written law keeps changing, you doubt your own memory, your own senses.
You become reliant on the state's narrative.
Totally reliant. It's psychological control, far more potent than just force. Makes it impossible to trust your own reality. Fertile ground for tyranny.
Which brings us to the architecture of oppression. The control mechanisms the pigs use. It's not just violence, is it?
Not at all, though violence is definitely there. It's a sophisticated system. Mind control, education, fear, repetition.
Selective knowledge is key. The pigs teach themselves to read and write far better than the others. Instant hierarchy.
And Napoleon's focus on educating the young, those puppies. Isolating them, training them as enforcers. It's not education, it's indoctrination. Shaping the next generation to be loyal and ruthless.
Controlling knowledge, dismantling independent thought.
And for the masses, like the sheep, complexity is boiled down. The 7 Commandments become 4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
Mind-numbing simplicity.
Bleated for hours. It shuts down critical thinking, reinforces a binary worldview. And then there's the fear. Squealer constantly invoking Jones's return.
The ultimate justification for everything the pigs do.
A powerful emotional lever. And if fear isn't enough, the dogs step in. Growls, violence, makes open dissent impossible.
We also see the power of repetition, of ritual in those spontaneous demonstrations.
Oh, yes. Squealer reads out endless lists of figures, production increases, even while the animals are starving. Classic propaganda, illusion of progress.
And the demonstrations themselves. Marches, songs, speeches.
All designed to celebrate the struggles and triumphs. Distraction. It lets the animals forget that their bellies were empty in that rush of communal feeling. Controlled messaging, orchestrated rituals, pacifying the populace.
Building on that, maybe the most chilling mechanism, rewriting history.
Squealer embodies it. Terrifyingly effective. Could turn black into white. Uses rhetoric, charm, deception.
The snowball narrative is the prime example.
Devastating. From animal hero first class at the Battle of the Cowshed.
To villain, blamed for everything. The windmill collapse, nighttime mischief.
And eventually, The ultimate lie. He was in league with Jones from the very start, trying to lose the battle. It's a complete fabrication to erase him, demonize him.
And the gaslighting involved? Making the animals doubt their own memories.
Cruel manipulation. When Boxer remembers Snowball's bravery, Squealer says, "Oh, that was part of the arrangement." Or maybe your memory is faulty.
Are you certain that this is not something that you have dreamed? Have you any record?
And since the pigs control the records, nothing of the kind existed in writing. So the animals conclude they must be mistaken. It's exactly like Stalin's purges, altering photos, erasing people from history, making you doubt your sanity.
And the end result of that is the forced confessions, the purges.
The brutal extension. Animals forced to confess to absurd crimes under threat from the dogs. Pigs, hens, sheep, executed publicly.
Stark parallels to Stalin's show trials.
Absolutely. Innocent people coerced into confessing conspiracies, sabotage. It shows how fear and the breakdown of truth can make people complicit in their own destruction, cementing power through terror.
And all of this happens under the banner of equality.
The final perverse twist, animalism, the ideology of all animals are equal, becomes the tool for totalitarianism.
The pigs justify their privileges. Milk, apples, beer, farmhouse, beds, shorter hours.
As necessary for the brain workers with their deep and heavy responsibility, utter hypocrisy cloaked in vital necessity.
The core irony. They're told they're truly their own masters, working for their own benefit.
Yet they work longer hours, get less food, live harsher lives than under Jones, while the pigs get fat. It shows how totalitarian systems co-opt revolutionary language, freedom, equality, progress to mask exploitation.
Even selling the hen's eggs is framed as a noble sacrifice.
Right. Their own special contribution towards the building of the windmill. It's masterful manipulation getting the exploited to believe their suffering is for their own good, masking their re-enslavement.
So bringing this deep dive towards a close, it's just so clear. Animal Farm isn't just about Russia or Stalin. It's this enduring warning.
Profoundly relevant today. A warning against totalitarianism, unchecked power, wherever it appears.
It shows how noble ideals get corrupted from within. Not just by force, but by manipulating truth, language, memory.
The power of words and their distortion is terrifyingly central.
And that final scene, unforgettable. The animals looking through the window, pigs and humans carousing together.
From pig to man, and from man to pig, but already it was impossible to say which was which. Devastating. It shows the full cycle of oppression. Tyranny looks the same in the end, regardless of ideology or species.
The abused become the abuser. As the source says, it's a lesson about the human contribution to political terror that will always be as up-to-date as next year's election.
It really holds up that mirror, doesn't it? Transcends time and place.
And think about how those control mechanisms resonate today. Squealer's historical revisionism. We see echoes in political narratives, media manipulation, the fight over facts.
Definitely. And the power of simple slogans, repetitive messaging, amplified by social media. Still stifling critical thought, just like 4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
Orwell himself noted that fraudulent conversion of words like equality, peace, democracy into shibboleths of political warfare.
That remains a huge challenge. Words stripped of meaning, weaponized to confuse and divide.
So the story reminds us, vigilance, critical thinking aren't just academic. They're essential tools.
Active tools. To discern truth from propaganda, question authority, challenge narratives, even when they supposedly come from those working for us, we have to remember, compare promises to reality. Have the courage to speak truth.
So as you reflect on this deep dive, here's a final thought for you. Is true equality really possible in any complex society? Or does power, as Animal Farm portrays it, inevitably lead to new hierarchies, new oppressions, regardless of the starting point?
And maybe who are the squealers of our time in our information-saturated world? How do we resist their attempts to rewrite history, twist meanings, manipulate us?
Plenty to think about there. We hope this deep dive has sparked some thoughts and maybe inspired you to revisit this incredible, timeless tale with fresh eyes.